Hello, well, here we are. We're giving this live stream a go. Every Thursday, we put out an episode on the Tribute, and last Thursday, we put out a story about Brent, who suffered pericarditis after his COVID-19 vaccination. And so today, we have Brent with us, as well as Lynda Wharton, and they're going to join us. And we're just going to discuss how it's gone for Brent and any questions that anybody has. So please put them in the chat if you want to do that. We already have some questions from the comments. Thank you very much, everybody, for those wonderful comments in YouTube. So, hello, Brent. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Gaylene. Thanks for inviting me on.
And how has it been since the release this week? There's been over 2,000 views already, and that's just in a few days. Has it affected you emotionally? Brought any relief or new connections?
Yeah, like emotionally hasn't really affected me. Yeah, maybe like reading some of the comments that it actually lightens your mood a little bit because you realise that like back when they were doing all this rubbish, they did everything they could to make you feel so isolated, and like you were the only one that was either sick or now not wanting to get a vaccine. And subsequently I found out there were so many people that weren't vaccinated or that were injured. And so to read the comments about people who are on the same page, it's actually it puts a little skip in your step, I suppose, which is quite good. And was there a second part to that question that I haven't answered?
Yeah, there was just anything unexpected that might have happened in the last days or with that.
No, not really unexpected. I think well, yeah, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. I thought there might have been a few people calling me a cooker or something like that, but there hasn't been any of that. Everyone's just been actually really kind, and they've showed like a bit of empathy or sympathy, whatever, for my situation, which is actually really nice.
Mm.
No new connections, although I have had friends or some people, who didn't know my story at all, who have contacted me and said, "Wow, I had no idea." And even one of my old staff members who went back to the UK, she sent me a link that she saw on some other page of it, and she said, "Oh my gosh, look at you!" So it's definitely being shared all over the place, which is hopefully going to be helpful.
Mm. And hello, Lynda. So we're here.
Hi.
You're here coming in.
Yes, I'm here. You can hear me. Hi, Brent. Thanks for joining us tonight. And thanks, Gaylene, for giving this tech a go. This is our first run trying this, isn't it, on YouTube? So let's see how we go. I've just got a couple of things to add to what you just said there, Brent. You just alluded to a couple of things. People might be interested to know that in New Zealand, in terms of the number of people that have reported adverse events, you commented that it's really nice to know that you're not the only one, and that we went through that bizarre era of being brainwashed into believing that if somebody was injured, they were an anomaly. They were virtually the only one. So MedSafe, who's the government pharmacovigilance database in New Zealand, the CALM database, they've received now almost 68,000 adverse event reports. And they themselves, because it's a voluntary reporting system, they acknowledge that New Zealand their database receives only approximately 5% of actual adverse events, with serious adverse events potentially more than that, maybe 10%, maybe 15%, but across the board, 5% of actual adverse events are ever reported. So when you think about the fact we've got about 68,000, and if you think that that's underreporting by 20 times, that's a lot of things that have happened to a lot of New Zealanders. So you are certainly not on your own, Brent.
No. I discovered that fairly quickly, but at the time, the government did everything they could to make you feel like you were an anomaly and then isolate you. You know, yeah, whatever. Don't get me started.
Well, we will get you started, but we'll rein you in. We'll get you started and then rein you in.
On that note, we've had a lot of comments on the government, obviously the bureaucracy that has basically made you ill, to be fair.
Yep.
So Jane, this is a YouTube one. She says, I can attest that through these challenges, it appeared to me that Brent took it all in his stride, and his intellectual unraveling of the situation was reassuring. A great communicator, an incredibly resilient man and dedicated father. He would do well in a position of power or steering bureaucracy somehow. Any ideas, any thoughts on that? Any reforms that you would like to see happening if you were in that sort of power position?
Far too kind. Positions of power is the one thing that I would steer away from. I'm not interested in power at all. But if I was, I don't know, how do you get doctors to speak the truth without the fear of being struck off? Like what, I don't know, whatever the doctors' hierarchy or organisation is. I mean, anyone that stepped out of line, they just crucified. Now, that is no different to what another country did in around the 40s. You know, like if you stepped out of line, you were chopped. That is propaganda. That is like tyranny at its worst. So I don't know. How do you get rid of the people at the top that did that? It blew my mind. Whenever you stifle any opposing voice, we're in a lot of trouble. So, but given every government department and medical, authority, they all did the same thing, and that's what should be raising our heckles and making us ask a lot of questions. But anyone who asked questions was shut down and called a conspiracy theorist or a cooker. I mean, yeah, whenever they start calling your names, you know that you're actually pushing the right buttons. So but how you affect that, I have absolutely no idea.
I think you sort of hit on it really. It's speech. It's been able to have free speech and be able to share all the different ideas. And there are doctors that were silenced, and they shouldn't have been. It should have been an open communication. And I think that was the leading. Yeah, and so this is what we're trying to do here, is try to just enable people to share their stories without censorship. And so, ideally this should have happened 5 years ago. And then, but it is what it is. So we just need to keep making sure that things aren't silenced. Yeah.
Well, okay. I guess the big question is, why was the medical board, or whoever they are, why were they so afraid of doctors speaking out against this vaccine? Like, who held a gun to their head, and which meant that they had to stifle the voices of any doctor that questioned it? That's my biggest question.
Yeah, it's a great question too. That's the New Zealand Medical Council, and
yeah, those guys.
very, very early on in 2021, I can't remember the exact month, but very shortly after the rollout, all registered New Zealand doctors received a letter from the Medical Council, which effectively silenced and prevented their ability to give a genuine informed consent process to any patients on the subject of COVID injections, because they were instructed that they were only permitted to use the content, the information for their informed consent that was sanctioned by the New Zealand Ministry of Health. So the information was on the New Zealand Ministry of Health website. And of course, the information on the New Zealand Ministry of Health website didn't include any of the missing information, the questions, the very things that should have been involved in a real informed consent process. So doctors were silenced. Those who bucked against that letter and were brave enough to add that additional information in, or God forbid, speak publicly or, post on social media. Many of them are still, right now, still going through the process of sanctions and tribunals and fighting for their license. So it's got a very long tail, what happened to the New Zealand doctors. And it's really interesting that that was a global response. This is one of the very interesting aspects of the whole COVID response. That didn't just happen in New Zealand.
It was everywhere, right?
Yeah, usually every country's got a medical council, a Ministry of Health, GPs, and the country, makes decisions about how their doctors operate. This was a global thing. So we have Canada, America, UK, France, everywhere the doctors were silenced. And that should raise a huge question mark for people. Why was that? What was going on there? So I think that's really great that you brought that up. It was one of my earliest awakening moments as well,
But
to
that's,
observe that.
yeah, and that is what made me, like, very early on, think they're up to no good here. There's something not right. When they silence voices, and it seems they're so afraid of anyone asking questions. It immediately made me very, very suspicious and think, I don't want to be putting this thing in my body. But because of circumstances, I very reluctantly, went and got poisoned.
What were some of those circumstances that pushed you over the line, and in a situation where you really didn't want to?
My mother-in-law, I don't know if I really want to say, but family members with cancer. So, and
So vulnerable family members.
yeah, and
Yeah.
if you must get vaccinated to protect the compromised and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, but we don't know anything about this. Like, whenever they're trying to, like, manipulate people with fear and silence any opposing voice, we have to be super, super suspicious. But yeah, like, I crumbled. That's my fault. I can't blame anyone for that. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. But I went and got the vaccine by myself because the rest of the family had already got theirs about a week earlier. And so, even though there was absolutely no logic to get a vaccine to protect your neighbour, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
With this particular one, it was a ridiculous thing. There was no evidence that the product would prevent transmission.
No,
and that was quite clear quite early on.
But you get a vaccine to protect yourself, not to protect someone else.
Yeah, I mean, some vaccines do prevent infection and do reduce the risk of transmission as well, but definitely not the product that we used in New Zealand, the mRNA Pfizer.
No. So yeah. Anyway.
Very good. So we've just got a few people who have joined and are watching. So just so you know, I'm the director of the Tribute, and I'm here with Lynda Wharton from the Health Forum New Zealand, and we're having a chat to Brent and about his video that we played this last week. And there's been a lot of comments, so we really are asking for if anyone wants to ask Brent any questions. Now's your chance. So just put it in the chat, in the live chat, and I will relay that to Brent. And yeah, but we've had some really great comments and things from people in YouTube. Here's another one. It's quite good. Darwin says, like standing in a shower with a tennis racket over your head. Brilliant and hilarious and perfect description of the futility of those masks. What a lovely, genuine soul. I could tell you were a man of faith from the first 30 seconds. Thank you for sharing your experience of the evil draconian oppression, and so sorry you and your son went through this. May your health be fully restored. How is your health now, Brent?
I'd say
And
it
your
is.
son?
Yeah, it is fully restored, and same with my son. It took a lot of we had all kinds of treatments, which we had to pay for ourselves, which is you do what you have to do. So yeah, I'd say that I am back to normal. Yeah, and
That's
so
so
is he,
good to hear.
which
How,
is
how long did that take, Brent? How long did it take for you before you felt that you were back to the pre-injection health?
probably about 18 months.
Wow,
So,
long time.
yeah. I was actually asking my wife, what treatments did I have? And the only one I can remember was ozone treatment.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely amazing. My son and I both had that. He had quite a few more than I did. I hate needles, so yeah, I had to put my big boy pants on for those. And I think I did have some NAC and some, is it black seed or cumin seed
Yeah.
oil?
Flaxseed oil.
Yeah. I can't remember what else I did, but yeah, I think I am. Yeah. Well, look, I'm 54. There's quite a few things that are broken from snowboarding, but I think by and large we're both totally back to normal. I can hunt and walk 15, 20 k's in a day, carry.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah.
And
And
how
I'm
long did
very
it?
fortunate.
Oh,
Very fortunate.
you are very fortunate because sadly that's not the case for
For heaps, I know. Yeah, and
many
I
of the
know.
injured that we deal with at the health forum. So I'm great. It's great to hear that you and your son have recovered. How long did it take your son to come right?
Probably 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
In fact,
Okay.
no, probably more. He was still, so he did ozone. He did, the doctor that we saw was an amazing doctor. He's, is it integrative? Yeah, it is. And
Mhm.
so he's tries to use a lot of natural medicines as well. But we also saw a cardiologist who was, he got what was going on. And Noah's only just come off some heart pills probably about 6 months ago. So that's probably what, 2021? Yeah, it's probably 4 years.
4 years. Yeah. And so I didn't want to use his name. Obviously, I know who
You
your
know
son
who it
is,
is.
but
Yeah.
you just used his name. So I
Oh
hope
yeah,
that's all
Noah.
right.
Yeah, no,
That's
he's okay
okay.
with. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Noah.
I'm not gonna use the doctor's name though because I don't want
Yeah,
to.
no, let's protect the doctors.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, what a question. Is it okay if I ask a question,
Yeah,
Gaylene?
far away. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really interested that, the misfortune of both you and your son both sustaining quite serious cardiac injuries from the Pfizer.
Yep.
Did you both go together to the same place and get injected at the same time, in which case there's a very high probability you had the same batch, or did you both go to different places at different times?
Yeah, totally different places at different times. Uh,
Wow, okay.
yeah, they went probably a week before me. I think they went out to the airport or something, and then I just, yeah, very reluctantly just drove down the road and found the first monkey that was injecting people and thought, oh, I don't want to waste petrol or time doing this. And so yeah, totally different places, different times, um, same genetic makeup, I suppose.
Yeah, that's something really interesting that I've talked to Gaylene about this before as well. This observation, with the Health Forum NZ, obviously I have received literally tens of thousands of emails and messages from
Yep.
New Zealanders, many of them injured or with injured family members. And it's just an empirical observation. At this point, I've not been able to find any science or research to back this up, but we've had many families contact us that have shared stories of multiple members of their family being injured by the Pfizer. And the interesting thing is that the multiple members don't even necessarily all live in New Zealand. Families with
Yeah.
a couple of people here, an auntie in UK and a cousin in, I don't know, Scandinavia or wherever. So all over the world, different batches receiving it at different times, but a clustering of injuries running through families. And I believe, based on just totally empirical observation, that in time when the science is there, we're going to see that there is some kind of genetic predisposition that runs in families, that increases or enhances your risk of harm from the mRNA products. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting that you were totally different places at different times, and your the symptom picture for both of you, the onset and what it looked like at the beginning, was it quite similar?
Yeah, I mean, the only difference between us is mine happened within 5 days. His took about 6 weeks. But
Right.
I said to the kids, I said, if you start getting a sore back, you must tell me. And yeah, it was like It was almost like a script. Exactly the same thing happened, except the outcome for him was so much worse, so much worse. And I don't know if that's because he was growing or what, but yeah, his outcome lasted for so long.
Well, Noah's in that demographic that finally is acknowledged, and that's that teen boy demographic.
Yeah, that's right.
That are by far the highest risk of myocarditis with the mRNA products. And I think the immune response that they mount, in response to the mRNA, the immune response is so much stronger than any other sex or age. And that's a big part of, the significant inflammation that immune response causes.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not surprising. How old was Noah when he took the injection?
15.
Yeah, so he's smack bang in that demographic of highest risk.
Yeah. And lowest risk from getting COVID.
Yes, that too.
Or not getting COVID, but from being, having a
Being significantly ill with it.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so Brent, we've just got some comments, questions.
Yep.
Laura Guitar Chick says, "Thank you all." So this is from the live chat. Tiger Eye says, "I'm so thankful you have your life back." And
so
thank
am I.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having the courage to share, because many people can't speak for various reasons. But then we have an alternative view. Well, everyone can speak, and we must all find the courage to speak up. Yeah, so there is this, to support those who lost their lives, who lost their jobs, who lost their health. So, I mean, I'd like to know about the courage it took for you to speak up, and is there courage, or should we really everyone just speak up about what's going on? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Apparently, I'm pretty opinionated, and I'm not shy of when it comes to saying what I think. Is it courage? I don't know. I just fully believe in speaking the truth, and I don't know, without sounding like a religious nutter, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And if I sit here and say nothing, and it causes more harm to other people, then I'm kind of complicit. That's how I see it. And like with what happened to me, I can take that. But when they start hurting your kids, mate, that's well, they talk about mama bear. Well, yeah, father bear can rear up too. And so, and I also have I've lost a couple of friends. So yeah, when you do that, I don't have any choice. It's not courage. I have no choice but to speak up. Others feel different, like some people are more afraid. That's okay. I don't judge them at all. But for me, I just, yeah. When you guys have asked me, I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah, you've been so willing.
I'm there with bells on, because the way I saw it, there was, yeah, I'm going to say what I think. There is massive corruption and evil, and you can't be silent in the face of that. So yeah, courage, no choice. And whatever the consequences are for speaking up, they are. I mean, you guys have put your heads on the chopping block way more than me, way more. I am so incredibly grateful and thankful for you guys. So, my little 2 cents worth, it's nothing compared to what you guys have done. So,
well, thank you, but we couldn't make this docuseries without courageous. I think you are courageous people like you being willing to share their story. And one of the interesting things that happens, of course, is that the more episodes we make, of the tribute, each one sharing a story of a New Zealander that's been harmed by a COVID injection, the more stories we make, the more that sets a precedent and normalizes it for other people to come forward. It will become normal to hear people sharing their story, their truth. And so you're kind of a trailblazer. You're at the beginning. I think you're episode 2 of what we hope will be many, many, many more episodes to come. And over the months to come, this will become a lot more normal for people to see New Zealanders speaking online. And the trolling and the abuse and the disbelief will, I believe, really drop down as a result of, people just like you doing this.
Well,
So
let's hope so.
yeah, thank you.
I mean, we are getting people in the comments who are wondering themselves if they are vaccine injured.
Most likely, yes.
So yeah, like Susan was asking, is there somewhere I can go, or who can I get in touch with? I have been affected by the COVID vaccine and I can't find anywhere to go and get help. I mean,
Right.
it's absurd that we're still facing this at this sort
Yeah.
of time, but here we go.
Susan, please, or anybody who comes along and is wondering the same thing, please email me. The organisation I started, we're called the Health Forum NZ, and we've been guiding, supporting, and advocating for New Zealanders COVID injection harmed. So you can email me directly at the Health Forum NZ at protonmail.com. And I will help you, guide you to practitioners who will not gaslight you, including medical specialists in New Zealand.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, don't necessarily trust your GP unless they're a really good one.
Well, the thing is that so many people, as you probably had the experience, I know you had the experience when you went to hospital, so many GPs are still gaslighting people with
Yeah.
COVID injection injuries, still, saying it's anxiety or fatigue or menopause or whatever, anything other than the injection. But there are ones now that have seen the light and are being, honest and really helping people. So we can guide you to those people if you email us, the Health Forum NZ at protonmail.com.
Yeah, and on that note, there was another, yeah, I think you did cover it a little bit before, Linda, but someone was asking, she knows of 3 cases of heart issues. My husband, no COVID, but vaxxed, a former marathon, and 2 good friends within a few days of vaxxed, hospitalized. And she's asking, so what is the true rate of heart issues?
Well, there's a fantastic question, and one of the really important points that nobody in New Zealand tends to talk about, except people like my platform and New Zealand doctors speaking out with science. We hear a lot about myocarditis and the rate is minimized. But one of the reasons the rate is minimized and we observe something quite different in the population, like you, the writer who've got a husband and 2 friends with heart problems. One of the reasons with myocarditis, which is cardiac muscle inflammation, the rates are minimized because there's this condition called subclinical myocarditis. And that means that you have heart inflammation, but for whatever reason, you don't actually have symptoms. You might feel just slightly off, maybe your energy just a little bit down. Potentially, you might feel slightly coldy or fluey at the beginning, after your jab, and you just carry on with life. But you have a silent subclinical heart inflammation, which can actually be just as dangerous long term as the clinical myocarditis that sees you going to the hospital with chest pain. And some of the studies that have been done overseas have found that, for example, in adolescent boys, the TIE study, they tested asymptomatic adolescent boys after mRNA COVID injections, and they found, I think it was 3.4, it was either 3.2 or 3.4% of them had subclinical myocarditis. And that is an extraordinarily high rate. 3.5 people per 100 is, an outrageously high rate. Usually when you're talking about serious adverse events with other vaccines, you might be looking at, 0.1 or 0.4 or something. So many, many times higher. And so we really don't know what the genuine rate of cardiac harm is because so much of it is potentially subclinical, but still dangerous.
And that's just the cardiac stuff. You know,
Oh yeah,
3.4% is just the cardiac stuff. What about all the other damage that's done?
yeah. There's a wide range. That's just the subclinical cardiac. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. A lot of people have mentioned your faith. You did sort of allude to it in the clip a little bit. But I mean, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but what role did your faith play in helping you cope emotionally and mentally, through the uncertainties as well?
I guess it sort of comes back to that know the truth and the truth will set you free. Yeah, I don't know. It was the truth, the way it sets you free is it takes away your fear. And at first I felt a bit afraid, but then I don't know, I just wasn't. I just felt a real peace about the whole thing. I mean, it angered me, what they were doing, but once I sort of got over myself, I did just have a peace about it. And I just want to walk in the truth, which is also part of why I'm here, justice. I don't know. I care about people. So, I just,
On
yeah.
that note,
I've just got a can of dog fighting in here. Can you give me 1 second?
You can tell we're live when somebody walks away to separate the cat and the dog. It's always a sure sign.
I don't know how that door got open. I shut that door and then and the dog walked in and decided to have a fight.
Lovely.
So on that note about accountability, I mean, I have this thought that, there needs to be some sort of compensation paid, and it can't just be a one-off. It needs to be something that's kind of ongoing for at least 100 years. It's just
I
a
love the
little,
way you think, but I
and
don't
just a
want it.
little, and just to help the people and the families. And it's sort of a reminder to each new generation of governing people to not do this again. So it's not just so it's a reminder, this is because we forget very quickly, and 10
We
years, 20
so
years
do.
later might happen again. But so it's just this, no, remember we did it then, no, and see, we're still paying for it. I don't know, do you have any ideas on that?
I'd like to take it a step further, and New Zealand Medical Council, politicians, doctors, there should be a whole lot of them spending a little bit of time at Her Majesty's holiday camp. That's the accountability I'd like to see. And for those who are harmed, who have lost their jobs, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I got away scot-free, comparatively to some of the people that I've met, still so incredibly sick, and it has absolutely destroyed their lives. Yes, they absolutely should have a significant payout, but the accountability that I'd like to see the most is people before the courts. They lied and deceived and absolutely wrecked people's lives and killed people. And we knew that it was bad right from the beginning. And we didn't have access to the same information they did. So that means that what they did was nothing short of evil. So, yeah, I've got my idea of what accountability would look like, and it would definitely look like a prison term.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not revenge. That's just accountability.
Justice, not revenge.
Well, I think it's just
justice and consequences.
As consequences, and if you're going to be a leader and take that role of a leadership, and make massive decisions which influence people's lives to the point of very serious illness and death, then you need to be able to stand behind those decisions and face the consequences, as you say.
Yes, especially when you gaslight people, one certain politician, and say, we never mandated it. Like, that should be an extra 20 years, Like, that was just the most, despicable comment.
It was an extraordinary statement, wasn't it? It's interesting when you talk about, I think one of you used the word liability somewhere in there, and it just made me think about the situation we're in, with the Pfizer product, which is the only COVID injectable now used in New Zealand. Pretty much right from the start, we've used about 10,000 Novavax, 10,000 AstraZeneca, which has now been withdrawn from the market, and all of the others, over 14 million doses, have been Pfizer mRNA. And of course, just late last year, Pharmac signed a new contract with Pfizer for sole rights for COVID injectables for New Zealand right through to the end of 2027, with a right of renewal right through to the end of 2029. So we're still well and truly Pfizered in New Zealand. We're still administering somewhere between 4,500 and 5,500 doses every week, even through the summer months, So it's not a fait accompli. It's not all over in New Zealand with this product. New doses are being administered, every day around the country, predominantly elderly people now, of course.
Yep. But on that note, someone's just put in the comment, Lynda, that in the nursing homes admission in Australia, they're still mandating it to get into a nursing home.
Oh my goodness.
And she's saying that, I don't know if it's a she, Narelle. I love that you won't let people forget, as people are still having it and still don't believe, but
yeah, as far as I know, we're not mandating into rest homes in New Zealand. We're still mandating in the military, and for any young people going into any kind of healthcare training in New Zealand through university or technical institutes. If you're training to be a doctor or a midwife, physio, whatever, the young people are still mandated to take COVID injectables to get in. And
it's not healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare and also many jobs in Te Whatu Ora public health system still carry a 3-dose mandate as well here in 2026.
That's insane.
Yeah, I agree.
Madness.
Wow. Yeah. See, and this is where we should have, I mean, the COVID inquiry turned out to be a joke because all these injuries should be screaming at the Ministry of Health and every other government department that you must not insist that people take this.
Well, we've got a COVID inquiry, the findings coming out at the end of February for the second COVID inquiry. And this was the inquiry that actually had terms of references that related to the vaccine, to the efficacy and the safety and the mandates. So we're kind of, waiting with bated breath to see if this is an enormous whitewash, which everybody insists to me that it will be, or whether there's going to actually be some truth come out in the second inquiry. We'll know soon enough, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I know. You're another one telling me that.
Oh, I was part of it.
Hope springs eternal. Hope springs eternal. I will be hoping for 5 more weeks for some truth.
I love it, Lynda.
Oh, well, we should probably wrap it up soon. So thank you for being here, and then thank you for the watchers. This is a bit of a trial just to see if there's an opportunity to bring on a person who was on the episode last week to have a chat to them so you can ask them questions. And we're really grateful to have Brent here today. You've shown so much courage and coming in on the weekend when we were filming in Auckland, and so
no problem.
And even just what the resilience that you've shown in your own life. So so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we're so happy that you and your son are now well.
Thank you. Yeah, so are we. We're so fortunate. So fortunate.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for all your hard work, guys. It's amazing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Yeah, we've got quite a few episodes lined up. It's going to be probably take us through to Christmas at least and into next year.
Yeah, good.
Who knows? Yeah. So thanks everybody, and thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week, maybe. See how it goes.
Cool. Thanks guys.
Brent.
Bye, Brent.
Okay. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.